to Platos Cave on WZZR, coming to you from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's right. It's home to fresh ideas, uncensored mostly, unless, some unconscious self-censorship. Important thing, though, important public announcement. This station is not receiving any support from any governmental, non-governmental, or any other concern that has a vested interest. It receives its support from you, the listener. And as such, if you can donate, and again, any kind of currency is good, that would be great if you could do that. You can just come to the homepage, you can do it there. Or maybe you can't give money. That's okay too. It's, things are tough. They really are tough. But tell your friends and family, maybe they can donate. That would be really helpful, because electricity, unfortunately, at this point, is not yet free. So if you can, tell someone, anyone, strangers, complete strangers, that would be really, really helpful. Today is the 1st of August, 2023. 1st of August, 2023. That's right. It's wild. True. Crazy wild. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, and onto your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere, or listen at home on a Gray's tabletop digital radio. Whoa. Why not join the club? And go and use the free archives. They're free. Another good reason to donate. Free archives. That's right. Just go in there, have a look, listen to whatever you like. Sample all the delights that present themselves to you. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, which we will momentarily, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians from the land from which we broadcast.
And for me, it's the Darkinjung.
Sir. And for me, it is, of course, the Darak people. And we would like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. And just a warning, or no warning in this case, I don't think we'll be talking about any deceased people in this show. I don't think. Well, another day, another interest rate non-raise.
Oh, thankfully.
Thankfully, I know, right? That's actually a good thing. But again, I'm angered, and I think I had a conversation with someone today. I can't remember who. I'm angered by the fact that the people that make the decision are not at all affected by their decisions.
Uh-huh.
All the people that sit on the reserve bank boards, and this goes for any of the reserve banks, by the way. So if you're sitting anywhere on any board of anything,
yeah,
you're okay. You are okay. Yeah, let me just tell you, you don't have to worry too much about stuff anymore. Whereas schleps like Dave and I, we have to worry a lot about a whole bunch of stuff. We wake up worrying and we go to bed worrying. After putting a whole day filled of worry behind us, it's a thing. Yeah, but I find it upsetting. I find it condescending, and I find it very much unacceptable that the people that make the decisions are not at all affected by them. It's like in the old, well, not even the olden days. It's when somebody declares war on someone. Like, Putin, let's invade Ukraine. Oh, it's very good, very good. How long, Ivan, to get? 1 weekend, we're done. Fine, no problem. Okay, go. And he's not fighting. He's not fighting. His buddy is not fighting. His close comrades are not fighting. In fact, you know what I recently heard?
No.
He has now started to recruit outside of Russia because he's running out of bodies. Okay, so he went to Nepal. This happened. He went to Nepal and started recruiting in Nepal, promising fairly good pay. And a lot of Nepalese said, "Hey, yeah, I'll go," because again, the economic situation what it is, especially in some countries, Nepal included, going to fight in a war against someone you never heard of in a country you probably never visited before sounds like a really good idea. Because somebody has to make the cash, and people do all kinds of things to make cash. Like, I get it, but he's got Syrians there, he's got Chechens, he's got. I think everybody is fighting there now because he's running out of Russians to fight this war for him. The body count is stacking up.
Yeah.
And this is not a. This was meant to be, everybody, Dave, and you know this.
A
This was meant to be
weekender.
bingo. That's exactly. You take the word out of my mouth, my friend. 100%.
I was just
That's
helping.
exactly right. That's exactly right. But look, it's not the only thing though. And I have to say, the Mr. President, sorry, President Joe Biden, President Joe Biden.
President.
He's older than time again, and that's now. It's actually his own people, his own Democrats that are trying to run against him are using that. And of course, yes, of course you would. Well, I mean, why wouldn't you? And you know what else?
Nope.
We discussed this, Dave. You and I, we discussed it. We said, what would happen if the Ukraine was going to start attacking Russian soil?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, are we still going to support them? I mean, you go from defending and then reclaiming your homeland to, I don't know, a war of conquest or whatever, right? Now it hasn't quite gotten to that point yet because they're still trying to get the territory back that the Russians took. But what they are doing is they're attacking Moscow with drones.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing now. That's the Ukrainians are sending drones, and Moscow isn't that far from
Not
Ukraine.
really. No.
Yeah, it's funny, right? And most of Russia, St. Petersburg and Moscow and all that, it's pretty close to Western Europe in many ways. It's only Siberia that goes for thousands of kilometers all the way to Kamchatka, right? There's not much happening there. Most of the stuff is happening right in the heart of Europe, and it really is quite something now. And these drones are attacking all kinds of infrastructure. I think the airport even. But they have to fly like 300-400 kilometers to get there. Now, that's another thing. I mean, what is Russia doing with its air defense?
What's not shooting them down, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, they're not huge. I get it, but still, what? I think this conflict. It's 500 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, just about 500. Russia has proven itself completely incapable of conducting any kind of warfare in the modern day.
Inept. Yeah. Total failure. I give them an F.
Yeah.
Minus.
Minus. No, there's no point repeating. Just leave school. Leave school now. But go and learn to do something useful.
In fact,
I mean, that's
just stay and live with your parents. You know what? That's all. Really, breathing and eating is probably all you're good at.
We're not sure about the breathing part, but it's all good. But that's really quite something. It
really shocked me, Mackie.
Yeah.
It shocked me to see the era of the equipment they were using.
Yeah.
So
we talk about Soviet era stuff. That's the funny thing.
You spend so much money on nukes and then nothing on ground troops.
Yeah. Ground troops.
Right.
This is the 21st century, huh? We're going to have robots fighting soon. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. There's, if you have a look at... I can't read half these people's names, Mackie, to be honest with you. Scroll up to the first YouTube post in the chat room.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah. In the chat room? Oh, okay.
In the chat room. It says, breaking news, huge explosion in Moscow. Russia prepares for war declaration. And then it's got a pretty heavy claim here, and it says August 24th claim. But the next thing I see is the first ad that's beneath it, and it's Canadian Preppers Survival Superstore. Right, okay, good. So that's interesting. Interesting. There's no fact checking on that statement. We'll just have to wait and see. War footing. Do you know the moment Russia decides to go global with a war, a declaration of war against who? I don't know. Who cares anymore?
All of them.
All
I
of
hate them all.
That's the right answer.
I hate them.
So, isn't it really over for everybody? So, what kind of narcissist, I would have to say,
The best kind.
Yes. The one who scores really highly in that test does that to themselves and the planet in order to prove a point that they all were found out to be wrong, but so believe they're doing the right thing. And all their lies are so solid, they're not transparent. No one knows they're lying. I just think that's the worst magician in the world.
I saw the worst magician in the world the other day. Go on.
There was a guy who was a comedian who had an act as the worst magician in the world, and that was really funny because internally I knew it was all an act, and that's all it was. And the children, it's like a pantomime. It's behind you.
What? Behind?
The least convincing magician you've ever seen. Well, let's draw some parallels, shall we? To Russia and their propaganda machine.
Yes.
And I think that this word that the Wagner Group are over on the Polish side now of Belarus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've recamped them, and that's bringing fears within Poland. Here we go again, guys. It's all happening again.
Yeah, but see, okay, let's say that's so, right?
Uh-huh.
Let's just say that for a second. That is actually, this is no longer insanity. If that were a thing, it is no longer. This is now a whole different level of. I don't even know what you call that. So, no, I really don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what you would call that. We're not winning here. We're getting our derrieres handed to us, okay, by the Ukrainians. Thank you very much. It's a bloodbath.
Mm-hmm.
Let's open up a second front, and let's draw NATO in. That's the way to do it.
Because that's gonna work.
Now we're thinking with our heads. Yes, I'm sure you are.
Because we have those tsunami weapons, we have the earthquake weapons, and we have submarines poised everywhere. We can kill all of you.
What do you even say to that? I mean, what?
How hard would it be to supply goods? Wartime feeding and ammunition to a war that's now in Poland.
Oh, brother, yeah. Look, forget it. Is what I say to that.
Mm-hmm. I thought Wagner was going to come down and take Kiev now.
Yeah. That's what I thought. That would actually make sense.
That would make sense.
Okay, you go. Yeah, I mean, you probably can't do it, but okay, I understand what you're trying to do. I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but this, I mean, okay. So if you were to draw them in now into a conflict, just think about. I mean, this would just be, it would be catastrophic. Russia. I mean, that would be it. I don't care which way you twist this. That would be it for Russia. And then nuclear weapons, depending on how crazy he really is, that could very well be used at this point, because there'd be nothing else he could do to stop the advance of the whichever troops would be coming there. There'd be nothing. It's game over at that point. That's a real dangerous thing. Now let's imagine that Biden is in the White House. Oh, God help us all.
Oh, please, can I not? Can I imagine
I know, right?
there's a professional wrestler there instead?
Anyone else
wearing Crocs?
Anyone else? and that would just be. I mean, it's not even funny. This is not even accidentally funny. Some things are funny. You go, look, it's so funny, and then you look what's going on. You go, no, this is actually not funny at all. this is playing out, everybody. This is happening, guys and girls. And there's nothing you can do about it.
You know what's really I think the funny part, because I see the funny part in everything. So for me, the funny part is, I always thought the Middle East would just boil over. Right? That's what I thought. I thought, everyone would hate on Israel for all of their own reasons. Right? That's fine. I get it. I thought that there'd be someone would nuke Israel, and then it would just be game on. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
I know, right?
I was so wrong. If you said Russia's going to take Ukraine as best it can, and you wrote this in a science fiction from 10 years ago, people go, what? No. It's not a thing.
What?
No. Why would they take it? Look how much land they've got. They don't need anything else, right? It is honestly off the chart nuts.
That's the truth. That is unfortunately.
And that's hyphenated, chart nuts.
Look, you don't even know anymore. I mean, where do you go from here? Yeah.
How can you back down now?
You
can't. If you're Putin, he's talked himself up.
Yeah. Into a corner.
That's right.
Oh, yes. He's like, I'm not winning. What? Why am I not winning? What? Yeah, you're not winning, buddy. Not happening anymore. No.
Yeah, that same discussion where, from what we've been told in the West, that Hitler said, well, just use the tanks. Remember those special tanks he had just for himself to keep himself protected? And they all gave each other side eyes. Like, I'm not saying it. No, it's a yes, yes, mein Herr. Yeah, sure. We'll bring those. We'll use those tanks.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
good idea.
Because we've got all of them. All of the tanks is what we have, and we're going to use. Yeah, we're going to use all of them, and you'll be fine. So, I think that same thing's happening here. I watched a couple of channels where they talk about the front line, the battle line, and it's two-sided, right? And Russia said they took all this land, and they didn't, according to the battle maps. And there's no video to support any of it. And that's what they told their people. So live to air, these talking heads and saying how much land they've taken over Ukraine. And you know what? That's the message they're portraying. And, yeah! Well, that's a whole bunch of patriotism right there in one phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That's good. Great use of media. Pity, none of it's true. And they're now starting to lose land that they've gained. And even though it's small, I think the momentum's up. There's some really serious defense lines in 3 layers in the southern portion of Ukraine above Crimea, which is going to be extremely tough to get through. That's going to take a lot of effort to get through there. But, they'll exploit a weakness, and away we go.
But the thing is that it'll be done because, well, they really have no choice.
And there's an insane amount of investment being thrown at Ukraine from a weapons perspective to get your land back. Yeah,
it's yours. Fight for it. And they go, yeah, it's ours. We will fight for it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We absolutely will. And there's nothing anyone can do about that. Thank you very much.
Winning the home game, Mickey, it's what it's all about.
100%.
100%.
But that's where we're at. I mean, this is where it is at, as it were, right? And none of this had to play out this way. To be clear, it really was. And I don't even know why they went when they went. I don't know what the thinking was. To be honest with you, I don't get it. Right? That's just me. And it doesn't make any sense to. You know what makes even less sense to continue with it. It makes no sense to continue because we are now at a point where it is there's no longer any justification to keep going. The people that have died, the thousands of people that have died. Let's call a spade, right? Thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of Russian soldiers now that have died.
When has that stopped anybody in war?
Look, that's the truth. That is the truth.
So,
but there's
so what's the goal? I know that the rail line leaving Crimea to go to go to the captured southern region from Crimea to supply the troops there. That's been destroyed. The Kerch Bridge only has one line open at the moment, and that could go at any time with another blast. So I'm wondering what the how long they can hang on.
That's a good question.
And this is the first war, Mackie, that I've since I've been studying wars, since air domination was a thing, that doesn't have air domination.
I know, right?
It's so unusual. Like the anti-aircraft missiles are so good that you don't dare fly. And then the shoulder-mounted, like personnel, ground to air or ground to target, I should say, missile rockets are so effective that just because there may not be a radar source that you can easily take out with a stealth fighter, well, you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. Someone with a shoulder mount can do it.
Yes, that's true.
$80 million, $500 million, or maybe $1 billion aircraft, right? You don't want to lose those to a $60,000 rocket. So, for me, the drone has proved itself, I think, and this is the big change from my novice military strategist position. It is clearly going to be where everything happens next.
But look, this whole thing is just a weapons test for the West.
It is.
I mean, yeah, let's help the Ukraine. Hurrah! Help democracy. Yay!
Hurrah!
Hurrah for democracy. Yeah. Okay. Whatever you say, Jack. This is a weapons test, plain and simple, right? And because the thing is this, right? Everybody has been stockpiling weapons for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And at least the Russians are getting to use them now. I'm sorry. But it's the same for the West. Right? I mean, there's stockpiles, and every now and again you got to refresh them because there's a whole industry behind it, right? And things like the Iraq wars, the invasion of Afghanistan, and even other conflicts, Yemen, Sudan, doesn't really matter anyway, right? Now they're good, and like the Iraq wars were awesome for that industry because so much armament was just so much ordnance, it was astounding.
Mm-hmm.
And you are now looking at field tests of the latest weapons that the West has, right, against the Russians, which is a great enemy. I mean, that's a big enemy.
Yeah.
This is not Saddam Hussein. This is not some guys in caves in Afghanistan. This is the big cheese. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll send our weapons and we test all our strategies and whatnot against those guys. That's brilliant. Of course they give him the stuff. Of course they will. And then once they've given it, they have to buy new stuff. And the armaments manufacturers go, sweet bananas. It's raining money. Hurrah. And that's what it is. It's the lobbyists in Washington. They're spinning in overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
Give them all the stuff. Come on, what you doing over here? Those poor Ukrainians. Give them all the stuff. Then buy more stuff.
It's like the Simpsons, Mickey. The trees were just sitting there rotting away. Substitute weapons. Well, and those missiles were just sitting there rotting away, right? They got expiry dates. Did you know that? Oh my God, no, really? Yeah, quick, get rid of them.
Quick, no.
What a waste of money that is to hold on to them any longer.
Yes, so that's the thing.
They're depreciated to zero anyway. You've written it down. Who cares? Let's move. So how many can I put you down for?
That's, yeah. Oh, what's that? Okay, very good. Yeah, and so that's what we're looking at now. And but I'm still trying to come to terms. Sorry to change tack a bit here. I'm trying to come to terms with Mr. Biden. I'm just looking at the guy. And thinking, you have to be joking. Biden. How is he still anything at all? How is he still there? How he can't remember his name. He's coming up with all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I watch the gaffes as they go live.
We cured cancer. Did you know that? I didn't know
that's
that.
right.
I'm glad to hear it. But,
well,
you know,
whose cancer was cured?
all of them.
All of them. Oh, that's great.
I know, right, Matt? I was very pleased to hear that.
And his son died in Iraq, although he didn't.
Iraq. That's what happened. Oh my God!
Who was that?
People.
Hunter. I mean, I made that bit up.
Yeah, but I mean, it's what? And now, yeah, look, it is a comedy. It is a dark comedy. It's not one of those, lighthearted, Bing Crosby and Bob Hope singing in the rain or whatever. It's not that kind of comedy,
right?
Or Gene Kelly, I should say. But it's a comedy, right? And it's a dark one. Yet we sleepwalk through it. At the same time, and I know I'll come back to it, but at the same time, there's disclosure. So instead of worrying about war, I mean, Putin is killing thousands and thousands of people, right? It's his war, so he's responsible. We should really be thinking about, hey, hang on. You said, what now? They're real? What? UFOs? A real thing? What? So what does that mean? Well, what it means is they're real, brother.
It's kind of a miracle at this time in history that we're hearing any of that.
I know.
But look, when we ask the why, we ask, why tell us and why tell us now? Two good questions you raise. And the first one, why? Maybe it's to cover up all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe there's just enough distraction for us not to watch Hunter Biden's case unfold with the sweetest deal denied that has ever been asked of a judge ever.
Yep.
And that is all the past crimes, even those you haven't found out about yet, and all future crimes that Hunter Biden may commit, he's innocent of and cannot be convicted.
He didn't do it. And
they went, hey, hang on, wait. Did you just... Who wrote that? And it's in handwriting. I'm making this up for comedy reasons. And he even signed it, Hunter. So, who knows?
My father.
My father too.
Signed my father.
Yeah. Okay. So that to me is hilarious. There is definitely something going on, but whether UFO disclosure is, or let's call it the Big D from now on, let's hope it isn't just to distract us from the other real things that are going on, and that it's a genuine release of information. I rewatched it twice already, and I watched a highlights reel, and I watched another News Nation breakdown of the entire event, and I'm still hard pressed to ignore the, well, I can answer that in a skiff. My answer is no, but I can answer it in a skiff, which is yes. So every time that was mentioned, there was definitely a yes to the answer. So a lot of people are discrediting Grush, but you still can't discredit the eyewitness testimony of trained Air Force pilots who say they saw equipment being flown or used in front of them, which defies our now known physics laws and is impossible to defend against. One thing that he said that was brilliant was You could fly the Tic Tac into, like, basically in anywhere on the planet, drop it down from space down to the Earth's surface, and let something go, and then fly away, and no one could stop you. So you could deliver a nuke anywhere on the planet within seconds and leave before it exploded. Isn't that just astounding?
Well, I mean, if you were in any of the warplanes, the people that aren't ready, I'm talking about, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, this is a nightmare scenario. There's nothing. There's actually not. There's no worse scenario. That isn't. This is the worst.
The only way it could be worse is if you had a matter transporter and you did it without it moving at all through the atmosphere. It just appears. Zoom.
But in either way,
yeah.
you're not equipped to stop it.
No, there's nothing you could do.
There's nothing, and you go, oh, well, that's not really very good, is it?
Mm-hmm.
No, it really isn't. But what you can do about it? Well, not a lot, buddy.
So
That's
Project
right.
Bluebeam, Mackie, is what I've been reading about recently.
Okay.
And Bluebeam there's 4 steps to it. I'm not going to bore you with all of the steps, and a lot of people only focus on the end one, which is the fake alien invasion. But the idea, if you're a religious person, it starts to distract you from God, and then they replace God with somebody else, which is that satanic thing. If you're a God believer, then that's the second rule. And I forget what the third one is, or there's kind of a disclosure thing, and then they have the fake alien invasion. And if you might think that the rainbow flag, for instance, not saying any deeper than that, is one of those distractions, well, I'll leave that up to you. I'm not saying it is. But if America had re-engineered or reverse engineered any downed craft and could fly it, then, and also if we could make it for humans to be able to fly generally and reproduce them, then it's quite plausible that von Buren was is it von Buren? The ex-head of NASA from Project Paperclip.
That's right.
Yeah, he told his secretary workmate lady with that beautiful white hair she has, curly white hair, that he was muttering stuff about the fake alien invasion back then.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll see terrorists, that's one of the things, and all these other things all lining up, and they all lined up, and that's the last one. That hasn't happened yet. So,
it all has to play out. It does. It has to play out, and it has to play out in a way that makes sense to them. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. It just has to make sense to them, right? And if you take everything into consideration, so right now there's a tapestry of events, and they're all interconnected. And the news, the behind the news, the deeper news, then there's the crazy stuff that Dave and I talk about, then the other things that are the phenomena, the phenomenology that is connected as well around sightings, the portals, the cryptids with Bigfoot right up in the lead, ancient texts telling us this has been going on for thousands, if not tens, or even hundreds of thousands of years, and you find yourself a little confused. That's okay, but you also find yourself thinking, oh my goodness, this is all just one big thing that is happening. Yeah, that's beautiful white hair. It's one big thing. It's all connected, and it is really real. This stuff is happening, right? And because most of you here listening to this, you're read in now on some of the background stuff, and some of the mystery school stuff, and some of the ancient stuff, and so forth. you understand it a lot better, and you can see the wider tapestry. This is all moving. Look, after the pandemic, okay, once the energy levels or the frequency was sufficiently lowered for us not to experience ascension as a global phenomenon, they were looking in anger at the next phase of the plan, which is to turn the Earth into a parkland and all of us into little minions that are just serving their needs, as it were, like a serving class. And this will take time because, you can't. If you kill 7 billion people all at once, then you've got problems. But if you let them die off naturally over, let's say, 50, 60 years, that can be managed. That's manageable, right? And you bring down the workforce to 500 million for the globe, right? You do all of that. That's right, Brown. Yeah. Then you can live in a parkland with high tech. Because if you killed off 7 or 8 billion people all at once, chances are that things would go sideways really badly, right? And you have, an end times scenario like in the Walking Dead or something like that, where things are really going to pot. Whereas if you do it in a managed way, it's like that the myth of the frog that boils slowly, right?
The myth, yes,
slowly,
because it's incorrect.
And people just go along with it, and we have less and less births. Oh, what a strange thing that is. And like in the movie The Children of Men, where no kids were born at all after a certain point, which is really interesting. But you can't have no kids. You just have to have less. Because if you have no kids, then you're starting another doomsday scenario, which is not what you want.
That's right.
You want to avoid the doomsday scenario, right? That's what you're looking to do. And people are being controlled. They're being controlled electronically. They're being controlled with the infotainment they consume, the food, with drugs. Control of the people is almost absolute now. And most of us that aren't controlled that way, the rest of us, are wage slaves. We live well enough, but only if we stay within the system. Only very few have managed to get out of the system. And then there's a huge amount of people that are not part of the system, but they're the subsistence pure. Poor, not pure. Well, they're pure probably, but they're poor. They're so poor they haven't got anything to eat tomorrow. They don't know if they're going to have clean water to drink. And I tell you one other thing, Dave. I walked through the city yesterday, Sydney City. Went down to Chinatown. Chinatown is funny. It's almost like a bomb went off right in the middle of old Chinatown. It destroyed everything, and then Chinatown sort of just expanded, and it's very lively on the edges. Yeah. But the dead center, the eye of the storm, there's nothing happening. Dixon Street is completely dead.
Really?
But yeah, nothing. You go there, it's actually depressing, to be honest with you, because I used to spend a lot of time there back in uni. But what I noticed was there's a lot of people living in the street. Now, these are not people, because for a little while in Sydney, what we had was a bit of a scam going where people were begging, but there was a gang that put them up to it.
That's right.
Like almost every street corner. Remember that, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
There was someone begging. No, this is different. There are now people that have mattresses in entrances that are nailed shut, like the Dixon food court downstairs. That's gone. Yeah. That's gone.
Really?
It's nailed shut, and there's now a mattress there. And there are mattresses in a whole bunch of other near the cinemas as well. There's quite a few people that have made like makeshift homes, if you will, like on the sidewalk, right?
Yeah, it starts.
All over, but it's all over. Because I walked around quite a bit, just taking it all in, and there's a lot of it now. And you're right. And when I was in San Francisco before I want to say 2019, before the pandemic, I noticed the very same thing. And what I noticed there on the sidewalk, there were tents with homeless people, but there were families.
Mm-hmm.
Now, normally when you think of a homeless person, you think of a singular person, right? Like maybe a person with mental health issues, or maybe an addiction issue.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right. And not true. Not true at all. There were families. Like, and you look at them, you would look at them twice, to be honest with you, because it's just a regular family, right? And they were living on the sidewalk in a tent. And there were lots of tents.
Sad.
Yeah. And San Francisco apparently has got very lenient rules for vagrancy, right? So people can sort of camp out, they won't get arrested, etc., etc. So they congregate there. Plus the climate is, I guess, not too bad, except maybe in winter. I'm not sure. But that's happening all over. I mean, I spent time in India as well, in Delhi, right? People are living on roundabouts.
Yeah, I've seen people do that.
Yeah, and we've seen the slums. There's like shanty towns along the road.
Yeah,
it's just a bit of a plastic tarp, and people are hanging out there washing there. That's where they live. But people actually lived on a roundabout. That's my home. I'm living on the roundabout in the middle section, obviously, of it.
It's quite dangerous, but yeah, it's not like living on the side of the road. You know, a car could spear off the road.
And I was driving from the airport to the hotel. It was late at night. It was probably 11, maybe midnight. I was going from the airport to the hotel in New Delhi itself. And people, there are always people in India, always. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is this, though, we came to a stretch of, it was under, I guess, a highway bypass or whatever, right? From driving along it on the road. And for a good couple of 100 meters, there were people selling stuff on the side of the road. Bless you.
I couldn't push the button in time.
There were people selling stuff on the side of the road, like little tarps laid out with their wares. Wow. And we're driving fairly slowly because there was still traffic, believe it or not, even at that time of the night. And I looked at what they were selling, and they were selling garbage. So they had gone through the garbage, clearly, and found stuff that they think, well, someone is going to buy it. Wow. Like bottle tops, or bottles themselves even, right? Or hubcaps, or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
A whole collection of garbage, and that's what they were selling. There was, like I said, the row of people there was at least 200 meters long that was selling, and so clearly, it's not some kind of insane thing. There's clearly a market for all that stuff.
Well, it's funny who the client is then, because I think I sent you a video where they're driving along, and for about 2 kilometers there is just, you know, caravans and trailers, you know, trailer caravans and without vehicles, some vehicles, lots of tarps, and people living on the side of the road. I forget the town. I don't remember the town. But this is the new norm.
Yes. This is now something that we will see, like to your point, and we will see more of, just as the weather seems to be changing, and it is. I'm sorry, it is. I don't care if you hate me for saying it, but it is. In the same way, our society is changing. There are a lot more people that are disenfranchised. There are a lot more people that are simply no longer part of the system. They're not even caught as unemployed. Right? They haven't got a permanent address. They might not even be receiving a social welfare or whatever, right? Right? No unemployment benefits, nothing.
Yep.
So they're just no longer part of the system. And we're going to see more and more of that. And it's actually terrifying. Because you look at it and you go, I mean, let's say, you're in a good job. And this has happened to a lot of people, right? And you're doing well, but then something happens in your life, something traumatic, and it could happen to anyone, right? Let's be very clear here. And all of a sudden, you are now destitute. Oh, that's not good. No, it's not. But you are. And you find yourself in the street. There was a lady. She was well-to-do. She worked in an office, and she was married to this gentleman. And they divorced, and he kept the house, and she all of a sudden found herself living in a car. She couldn't afford rent.
Yeah.
This was in LA, I think. So what she did is she lived in her car, but she kept her gym membership, which is cheaper than rent for an apartment. Right. So she goes there. I think I told you the story. She goes there. She works out in the morning. She has her shower.
Yeah.
And then goes to work.
That's perfect.
Look, she could do the same thing in the evening, obviously, because she's got the membership, right? And even in winter, she could stay there as long as she wanted, because she could, stay in the gym, and maybe it's one of those 24-hour jobs, right? I don't know, but the point is, she was living out of her car, but she was using the gym to do all the things that she needed to do, and then she was holding down her job that way.
That's right.
Think about that for a second. See, this is a person that had a relatively good position in her company, right? And then she was now homeless, living out of the boot, if you will, of her car. What?
Yeah. So Mickey, just like my friend who family of 5, so 3 kids and 2 parents, and their landlord decided to up the rent to the point where they couldn't afford it anymore, and they became homeless. So they spread themselves around. He stayed in his car and went to work, and he was the sole earner, and they've finally been able to house themselves when a place became available. It's not big, but if this is what we're doing, if this is what our society's doing to people, I think we've got the whole idea wrong.
Yeah.
Wow, you can have a job and still be homeless. You can have a well-paying job and still be homeless. So, if this is the state of affairs, where the wealthy don't care at all, not even at all, can't afford my rent, well, you get 2 jobs. Remember how they said that?
Yeah.
Just get as many jobs as you can to be able to pay.
And
try and get a second job.
Yeah, get more job. And not only that, everybody should move in together, like in a communal kind of living. I mean, it makes you angry when you hear this talk of people that have clearly no idea at all.
Yeah.
About what life is really like, and look, maybe your job is so the money you can't have a second job, or maybe you already have a second job, and some people work 3 jobs or 4 jobs sometimes, just to be, In fact, my wife's father, who was a refugee, he worked 3 jobs when he first came to Australia, including driving forklifts at Flemington markets, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because that's what he had to do. But he was not rich. He wasn't like that. These 3 jobs didn't make him rich. They made him. They made him eventually, and able to put some money aside so you can put something down for a house.
Yeah.
But he wasn't driving in Bentleys, right? So let's be very clear what we're talking about here. And that's really where I get upset when I hear this talk of these people that they're just lazy. They're lazy. That's it's all their fault. And if you can't achieve, it's your fault. In America, that is very much the attitude. Oh, you can't achieve, that's on you. That's on you.
That's right.
This deck is stacked so badly against these people.
Mackie, when you see the government in Australia denying homes for the homeless, I mean, what are they expecting is going to happen with those people?
Dude, that's a very good question. That's an excellent question. I mean, what's it?
The same as what happened in the US with the people crossing the border. Let's just take them to Martha's Vineyard. And oh no, we don't want. We want them to be alive and people get a home in them, but not here.
Yeah, somewhere else.
Yes.
This is where the good people live.
This is where the wealthy live. What? We can't have that kind here.
Yeah, we don't want that kind. We're going to depress the housing market. What you doing to me, buddy?
Look, so that was also appalling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But
you'll find that anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, that's right. But see, that's the thing, though, right? Yeah. We can do all of that, but not here.
Yeah, that's right.
For the Olympic Games, what Sydney did in 2000, there was a fairly large, it's a terrible term, but I guess colony of homeless people that lived in Woollahra, which is quite near the city, under an overpass.
Yeah.
And for the duration of the games, they were shipped to the country.
Mm-hmm.
Ship them out because we don't want them anywhere near the games. Thank you very much. It's not,
we don't want people to see that.
Look. Yeah, we don't. People shouldn't see that. It's not for people to see.
It's not the people's fault that they see that, but we just can't have it.
No, can't be done.
It was like the Clark and Door. If you're not familiar with the Clark and Door, and the games, the show.
They do it so well.
Remember the games, Becky?
Oh, I do. They did it. I mean, you think it's actually a thing until you realize, no. It's a takeoff. It's a complete. It's meant to be complete satire, but it's just really...
Everything that they said in there was based on something that came from the news. They had no trouble writing it.
Oh, yeah.
And one of those was the ozone layer, which is still bad. Not going to lie, it's bad. But they said, it's no longer a problem. Why is that? We towed it out of the environment. So what environment is it in? Well, no, you see, we towed it out of the environment, so it's no longer a problem. Right. That was funny. The 100-meter track was my favourite. And they said that we haven't got enough seats in the stadium to make a profit. And the decision was to add some more rows to the seating. And they just said, we're going to put them in the front. Put them in the front row. Put another extra 4 rows of seats there. And he goes, that's going to affect how long the 100-meter run is. He goes, no, it's not, because it doesn't matter if the seats at the front or the back. We make profit from the ones at the front. So we put them in the front.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. If you put them in the back, still the ones at the front you're going to make profit off. Doesn't matter, right? And he goes, so let's how long is this 100 meters track? Well, it's 100 meters. So if he measured it, and it turned out it was 96 meters long because they've consumed some of the track. And he goes, there's got to be records on this one.
It's gold.
Yeah, totally. So Brian Clark and Brian Dorr and John Clark were some of the writers, and the rest of the crew just did an ultimate job. Gina Riley was in it too. And you can only imagine that that's the same for every Olympics. Even the Commonwealth Games, Becky, in Melbourne. We can't have it here anymore. We're going to lose money.
Yep. How about that?
Well, it happens everywhere in the world. You build all the infrastructure, you have the games, and then as the games move on to the next town in 4 years' time, your town slumps into a depression.
Yes.
Because there's no money anymore.
Yes.
And you bought all these white elephants you can't use anymore, and it's just not enough economy to keep it going. So, it's a thing. Happens everywhere it goes. And this time the Premier is going, no, we're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Queensland, can't you do it? You wanted it so bad. Even you laughed at us when we said we'd get it. Right. Nope. Anyone? It's like Bueller. Anyone?
Bueller. Right.
Bueller.
But look, again, it sounds like it's a terrible joke. That's what it sounds like. It's all just a terrible joke, and we just don't get it, Dave. You and I, we just don't get it. We're not funny enough. We're not smart enough.
What do we know?
What do we know? We know nothing. And so you see it all happening, unfolding in front of you, and all you can do is, and I have this moment several times a day, as I observe people or read something or hear something, where I really feel this tightness in my chest, and I go, oh my God, this can't be happening. This is not going on. It can't be this bad, but lo and behold, it is. It's actually worse than that. And yeah, it's I mean, I know we joke a lot, but I tell you what, if we didn't, we'd just be crying. The whole show would just be us, Dave and me, crying. We'd just be crying. It's like, you will listen to two men cry for an hour? That's the show you'll be tuning into every week. All right? Twice a week if you come on Thursdays as well.
If you're a sadist. That's right.
If you're a sadist. And I understand now, absolutely. I always understood it intellectually, but now I understand it viscerally, the need or the mental state of a jester, a court jester. I get it.
Yeah.
I really, really understand it.
It's got to dance and make the Queen laugh, otherwise.
Yeah. And the court jester, well, at least from what I can tell, from judging by the history of the whole thing, they were the smart folk, right? They were not stupid. and they had no choice but to make fun of it. Might as well make a living from it, right? And
In less than a minute.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, but look, everybody, it's not all as bleak as all of that, because we can still change it. We still have the power to turn things around. I really do. Don't go anywhere. I'm sure someone is coming up. Thank you so much for allowing us into your lives for this brief hour. We'll be back on Thursday, and then we're back again on Sunday with Shiny Sell Out. Shameless cross-promotion. Don't go, like I said, don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial, the button, or whatever you're listening on. I'm sure something awesome is coming our way. And most of all, be safe.
And in 3 minutes at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy yourself.